This is your USMNT Abroad weekend update from November 28th to November 30th of 2025. Hello. If you're new here, I'm Filippo, and welcome to Tactical Manager TV. And welcome to the US Men's National Team Abroad series, where every single Monday we update you on how the Yanks did abroad over the weekend. Now, this was a great weekend for the Americans abroad. It was a very good weekend. One might argue one of the best we've ever had, but we'll talk about that throughout the episode. And listen, before you drop a like in this video, which hopefully you already did that, I want to say that this is arguably the biggest week of the US Men's National Team in 2025. Because on Friday, we have the World Cup draw. We're going to know our group for the 2026 World Cup. So on Wednesday, I'm going to do a stream using all the pots available and data that we have, trying to predict the group that we might get in the World Cup. We're essentially going to simulate the living crap out of it. We're going to go through the worst case scenario, best case scenario, some other scenarios, something like that. So stay tuned for that on Wednesday, okay? Wednesday morning, most likely Eastern time. And then on Friday, we're obviously going to do a full coverage of the group draw here at Tactical Manager TV, and some of it at 11 Yanks. And this video is brought to you by Prungo Red Light Therapy. If you have joint pain, muscle pain, or you're just old, make sure to get one. The link will be in the description, but more on that later. Now make sure to drop a like in this video if you haven't already. Comment down below your player of the weekend. And that's all. Let's roll the intro and start the episode. As always, we start with the top 5 leagues in Europe, the first one being the Italian Seriia. So let's go to Italy and start talking about Christian Pulisic from Milan. And on Saturday, Christian Pulisic was not available due to hemorrhoids. And that is a lie. He actually felt a thigh discomfort on Wednesday at practice, and he wanted to play against Lazio, but Milan did not want to risk it. And I'm all for it. We need Pulisic healthy, fit, and rested 7 months from now in the World Cup. So if Milan thought this was going to become a serious injury or something more serious than it currently is, I'm all for it. Rest him. Don't play him. As much as I love watching him play every single weekend. Now look, this week we saw, or there were rumors out there that Christian Pulisic might move to Manchester United or Aston Villa next summer, right? Because he hasn't really renewed his contract with Milan that expires in 2027. What I have to say about that is Pulisic rested all summer. We know that. We talked about it quite a bit if you haven't heard about it. And Milan has been managing his minutes quite a bit, and he still continues to get injured. I don't think his body can handle the Premier League. Would he do well there? Yes, if he lands at the right club, he'll get goals, he'll get assists, he'll be productive, he'll be a good player. I just don't think his body can handle it. So my opinion is that Pulisic should just stay with Milan all the way till the end of his European career. When he's ready to retire, he can come back to MLS, make money here. But while he's playing in Europe, he might as well stay with Milan. I think he can do well in the Premier League if he goes to the right club. I just don't think his body can handle a league that is that demanding of a player from a fitness standpoint, from a physical standpoint. It's very fast-paced. It's very physical. The Serie A is slower. That's just my opinion. Next up, we have Yunus Musa from Atalanta. But again, he stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes this weekend, which means he's dangerously close to getting to that territory where I just don't cover the player. Yes, Yunus Musa, that was one of our best players in the 2022 World Cup, probably won't make the roster for 2026 and can't play for his club. So let's talk about Weston McKennie from Juventus. And on Saturday, McKennie started and played the full 90 minutes for Juve during their 2-1 win over Cagliari. And this time, McKennie played as a right wing back, and I thought he was pretty good once again. He usually is, regardless of what position they play him. They played him as an attacking midfielder, central midfielder, right wing back, left wing back, and he usually plays well. And this game was no different from that. He did have a good performance. He helped a lot on defense. He ran a lot. He was pushed high up the field in possession. He crashed the box, and he played a big role in their second goal. He got the hockey assist for it with a beautiful back heel that set up Kalulu, and he found Yildiz, and Yildiz scored. So it wasn't a masterclass, but it was a good performance from Weston McKennie once again. Last but not least, we have Ben Cremaschi from Parma, but just like Yunus Musa, he's struggling to get minutes. And again, he stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes for Parma this weekend, as it happens most weekends. Okay, now let's leave Italy and go to England so we can talk about the Americans in the English Premier League. The first one being Chris Richards from Crystal Palace. And on Sunday, Richards started and played the full 90 minutes for Crystal Palace during their 2-1 loss to Manchester United. And Richards was fine. I thought he had a good game. He was winning most balls in the air. He didn't really make any relevant mistakes that I can remember of. I guess he could have done better on the ball. The passing range was complete ass. It really wasn't good. But overall, he had a fine game. He wasn't also at fault for any of the goals they conceded. And honestly, Dean Henderson kind of cost Crystal Palace some points here. The first goal they conceded was pretty bad from Dean Henderson, but none of that is relevant for this video. Next up would have been Anthony Robinson from Fulham. He's still injured. However, we have good news. Fulham's coach said that he is pain-free. A-Rob is pain-free, and he should be back December 17th. But we'll see, because I've heard that before, and then he came back, and then he felt knee pain once again. He probably should start using Prungo, red light therapy. But we'll see with A-Rob. Hopefully he can get a good run of games because we kind of need him for the World Cup. Next up, we have Tyler Adams from Bournemouth. And on Saturday, Adams started and played 71 minutes for Bournemouth during their 3-2 loss to Sunderland. So I only watched the first half of this game where Tyler was actually quite good. He did his thing on defense and he scored one heck of a goal. And let me tell you, it was a beauty. The goal that he scored in Brazil, they call that the goal that Pelé never scored. That's how tough it is. And Pelé had like 1 billion goals, something like that. Tyler Adams stole the ball. He dribbled into space all the way from his end of the field to the halfway line. And then he scored from the halfway circle. Yes, you heard that right. From the halfway circle, like 40 to 50 yards away from goal. A true beauty. And your confidence needs to be sky high to score those. And his most certainly is. In terms of the second half, as I said, I didn't watch it. I don't know what happened. It seemed like Bournemouth was going to win this one, but Sunderland came back and won it. Tyler Adams was not at fault for any of the goals that they conceded, but he was subbed out early. So I don't know if he was playing poorly in the second half. But in the first half, he was very good, and he scored a complete banger. Last but not least in England, we have Brendan Aronson from Leeds. And on Saturday, Aronson started off the bench and pretty much stayed there the full 90 minutes. He was subbed in around the 90th minute for Leeds during their 3-2 loss to Man City. He was essentially sent in after Man City scored a late goal in added time. It was just a desperate late sub. I think he came in at the 92nd minute and the game ended around the 96th. So there's not much to talk about there. Besides the fact that we can talk about that he might have actually finally got benched. Now, before we continue, a quick word from the sponsor of this video, Prungo. Don't go anywhere and make sure to drop a like if you haven't already. We'll be back very soon to talk about the Americans in the Bundesliga. Christmas is here, and if you have that old uncle that has joint pain or a family member that is an athlete, I may have the perfect Christmas gift. And that's why today we're partnering up with Prungo. And Prungo specializes in the next generation of red light therapy devices designed to support recovery, reduce pain, and help athletes address issues such as swelling, muscle strains, and pain in areas like your calves, knees, groin, you name it. It's also very portable, as you can see, so you can pretty much take it anywhere you go, even when you travel. The multi-screen, multi-part feature is what I love about it. It makes it a lot easier to use it on different parts of my body according to my own needs. And what I have here is the Prungo Flux Go, which is a wearable, lightweight red light therapy device designed to support recovery, reduce joint pain, and prevent overuse injuries without the need for needles or medication. It's been helping me a lot relieving pain and recovery. As you may know, I've had 3 knee surgeries, so that kind of sucks and it still hurts to this day. And if you use the link in the description of this video and the promo code TVTV8789, that is TVTV8789, you will get a 10% discount. Again, link and promo code will be in the description of this video. Thank you very much, Prungo. Okay, you're still here, and hopefully you have already dropped that like that I've been asking since the beginning of this video. Let's talk about the Americans in Germany in the Bundesliga. The first one being Malik Tillman from Leverkusen. And on Saturday, Tillman started and played 74 minutes for Leverkusen during their 2-1 loss to Borussia Dortmund. And I don't know, unless I missed something, I thought he was very meh, maybe even bad. Maybe not bad, that might be an over-exaggeration, but he was meh. He had like a header off target. He might have helped create like a half chance. He drew a few fouls here and there. I guess those are the highlights of his performance. So, I don't know. not very good in my opinion. Next up, we have Joe Scally and Gio Reyna from Borussia Mönchengladbach. And on Friday, Joe Scally started and played the full 90 minutes for Gladbach during their 0-0 draw with Leipzig. And Scally mostly played as a right center back in a back three, something that he didn't really do well when he played for the US men's national team, but he seems to do well for Gladbach. As for Gio Reyna, he came off the bench around the 73rd minute, and I don't have much to say here. He did a lot of defending. He didn't really get many touches. I'm just happy that he's playing and he's healthy. I don't know if he will become a starter for Gladbach this season. Very likely he won't, especially now that Gladbach caught good form with 3 wins and a draw over the past 4 games. But as long as he gets like 30 to 20 minutes per game, stays healthy, and plays very well for the US men's national team, I'm okay with it. So now let's talk about Noah Kai Banks from Augsburg. And on Saturday, Noah Kai Banks started and played the full 90 minutes for Augsburg during their 3-0 loss to Hoffenheim. And let me be honest with you, I was not able to watch Noah Kai Banks this weekend. But Banks won the most aerial duels this game. He had 5 wins in 7 that he had total. He was also very busy on defense with 8 clearances, 1 tackle, 2 blocks, 1 interception, and 3 recoveries. One of the 3 center backs of their back 3 was subbed out early, and it wasn't Noah Kai Banks, which means the coach doesn't think Noah Kai Banks was the worst performer. But again, when your defense leaks 3 goals, it's not a good thing. But overall, he probably did fine, and this is great for his development as a player. Christopher Lund, he actually got an assist, in case you care, right? He got an assist in the Bundesliga while playing for Cologne. He's not really a player that we cover regularly, but I just wanted to give him a shout out. Kevin Paredes from Wolfsburg is still injured. This guy's been injured for like 2 to 3 years. I don't know what happened to him. And James Sands played against Bayern, but that's another player that I'm going to stop covering every single weekend. So now let's go to Spain and talk about Johnny Cardoso from Atletico Madrid. And on Saturday, Johnny stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes for Atletico during their 2-0 win over Real Oviedo. But Johnny did start for them during the midweek in the Champions League. So my expectation is that his minutes are going to start to trend up very soon. Okay, now let's go to France and talk about the Americans in Ligue. The first one being Floating Balogun from Monaco. And on Saturday, Balogun started and played 85 minutes for Monaco during their massive 1-0 win over PSG. Now, FootMob said that Balogun was subbed out due to injury, and I watched this entire game. It looked like cramps. He even ran around while he was cramping up so that they wouldn't have to play man down. In terms of his performance, I thought that he was good in the first half. He was moving well off the ball, looking dangerous. He almost got an assist off a wonderful cross that he provided to Minamino. But in the second half, he was not great, not bad. He worked hard and helped them get the win. But I would say good first half, average second half. Overall, he had a positive performance against one of the best teams in the world, PSG. Now we have Tim Weah and Mark McKenzie. Why? Because Marseille and Toulouse clashed over the weekend. And on Saturday, Tim Weah started and played the full 90 minutes during their 2-2 draw with Toulouse. Weah started and played the full 90 minutes as a right back, and he wasn't bad, but he also wasn't great. He wasn't tested on defense throughout this game. And on offense, he was involved, but I would say he was mostly ineffective. Not bad, just ineffective. The crosses weren't great. He wasn't as dangerous as you'd want him to be. As for Mark McKenzie, he was actually pretty good on defense. None of the goals that they conceded were on him. He did his job. And he didn't really get many touches on the ball because Marseille had over 70% ball possession in this game. Toulouse was just playing in transition. And they looked very dangerous in transition, by the way. Now, McKenzie, he did get an assist for the goal that they scored during added time to tie the game. It was actually off a throw-in. He sent a long throw into the box, and his teammate was able to head the ball to tie the game 2-2. So McKenzie got an assist with his hands. Now, I would say it was an average performance from Tim Weah, but it was a very good performance from Mark McKenzie. Last but not least in France, we have Tanner Tessman from Lyon. And on Sunday, Tessman started and played pretty much the full 90 minutes because he was subbed out around the 90th minute for Lyon during their 3-0 win over Nantes. And Tessman played for the 3rd consecutive game as a center back. To be more specific, a right center back in a back 3. And they called me a fascist. They called me woke. They called me a communist. They called me racist. They called me everything when I said that Tanner Tessman is a center back. I think he should be playing as a center back at the highest level. Now, Was he good in this game? He wasn't really tested this game or any of the games that he played as a center back. They didn't concede any goals while he's a center back. That is true, but they played terrible opponents. On the ball, he's great. I believe he was one of the players with the most touches throughout this game. Now, what I'm trying to say here, is it going to work out? The Tanner Tessmann center back experiment that I've been talking about for over 2 years, and they called me everything, including crazy. But clearly, the Lyon coach sees something that I see as well. Tanner Tessmann is more well suited to play as a center back. Now, as I said, he wasn't tested defensively yet. I want to see how he does against better opponents. On the ball, he's great. He's going to be one of the most technical ball-playing defenders out there. But we have to see how he does defensively. Regardless, this crazy guy on YouTube might not be that crazy. My Tanner Tessmann center back agenda is stronger than ever. And if you called me crazy, I forgive you. Oh, and I do want to say one thing. On FootMob, they said Tanner Tessmann was subbed out due to injury. I didn't watch the last 10 minutes of this game. That's when Lyon scored the third goal. I just stopped watching. They were playing man up and had a 3-0 lead, so there was no point on watching it. I don't know if he's actually injured. I couldn't find any reports on it. I'm going to assume Tanner Tessmann is healthy. But if he is injured, we'll let you know next week on the USMNT Abroad episode. All right, now let's go to the Netherlands and talk about the Americans in the Eredivisie. Oh, and actually, you know what I just reminded myself? Next week on Monday, we will not have the USMNT Abroad episode because we're going to be doing videos focused on the World Cup draw. We're going to make a lot of content focused on the World Cup, so no USMNT Abroad next Monday. Regardless, let's go back to this episode and let's talk about the Americans that play for PSV. Ricardo Pepi and Serginho Dest. And on Sunday, Pepi and Dest both started and played the full 90 minutes for PSV during their 3-0 win over Volendam. So this was a relegation battle team that they were facing, and I was hoping the Americans would get goal contributions. And Serginho Dest didn't, despite playing well on and off the ball, but Ricardo Pepi did. Pepi got the assist for PSV's first goal, but the big one was the goal that he scored. Pepi scored a bicycle kick in the box, an acrobatic finish to give PSV a 2-0 lead. It was an incredible goal. If I try to do that, I might actually injure myself. It was incredible. Now, this was Pepi's first full 90 minutes of the season, and he simply got an assist, a goal, which was a bicycle kick, by the way, and the man of the match. If you give this man minutes in the Eredivisie, he will give you goals. That's a fact. We know that by now. Okay, now let's go to England and talk about the Americans that play in the EFL Championship, the second division of England. And while we're at it, don't forget to drop a like in this video if you haven't already. And the first player is Josh Sargent from Norwich. And on Saturday, Josh Sargent started and played the full 90 minutes for Norwich during their 3-1 win over QPR. We have some good news here. After 12 games, Sargent finally got a goal contribution. He got an assist. And the other good news is that Norwich finally won. The last time they got a win, believe it or not, was back in August. And we're basically in December right now. The next player would have been Haji Wright from Coventry, but he's actually injured. He's dealing with a hip injury. It's not jet lag like we reported last week. I thought it was. That's what people were saying. He's actually dealing with a hip injury, so that's why Haji Wright was not available. So last but not least, we have Ajiman from Derby County and Aiden Morris from Middlesbrough because they clashed over the weekend. Kinda. And on Saturday, Ajiman started and played the full 90 minutes for Derby County during their 2-1 loss to Middlesbrough. As for Aiden Morris, he's injured, so he wasn't available and he will be out for the next 2 to 3 weeks. But Ajiman actually scored Derby County's goal, and it was a very nice goal. He beat his man off the ball with his pace. He managed to not fall, which for him it's very tough. Some might say it's the toughest thing for him to stay on his feet. Then he closed it with a very nice low finish in the box. It was truly a great goal. And that was the first goal for Ajiman this season. That's not a header. He now has 3 goals in the EFL Championship. Okay, those are all the players. So who is my player of the weekend? The answer to that is simple. It's Ricardo Pepi. He got a goal, got an assist. It was a bicycle kick and his team won. Tyler Adams scored a banger and played a good first half, but his team did lose. And I don't know if he did well in the second half. I didn't watch the full game, as I said, and he was subbed out early. So the player of the weekend is Ricardo Pepi. All right, everyone. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to drop a like before you go. And thank you very much, Prungo Red Light Therapy, for sponsoring this video. The link with the promo code is in the description of this video. I want to thank you all very much for watching. On Wednesday, we have the World Cup draw prediction live stream, so don't miss out on that. And then on Friday, we have the full coverage. And then get ready, because after the groups are out, we're going to start a lot of World Cup talk, a lot of World Cup content coming up very soon. Thank you very much for watching, everyone, and have a great day.